Hi, Sam.
Hey,
Where are you from?
I'm from Washington, D.C.
Cool. What was it like moving from Washington to Cambridge?
It was not that hard of a transition. I would say the biggest thing was the weather, but they're both cities, so it was a pretty easy transition.
And what are you studying at Harvard?
I'm doing a joint concentration in physics and African-American studies.
Wow. Why did you decide to choose that?
Well, in my first year, I was kind of exploring different classes, and I just couldn't choose between the two concentrations, and so I looked into if it was possible to do a joint, and it was, so that's what I decided on.
Is it common to do that concentration and that joint?
Not at all. I think I'm the first person to do that specific joint. And then individually, both of the concentrations have, I would say, relatively few concentrators each year.
That's amazing. And what year are you in?
I'm a junior, so I'm the class of 2022.
Hmm. And since you're doing a joint, do you have to write a thesis?
I do. Next year, that'll be my entire year-long struggle.
Are you looking forward to it? Do you have any ideas for it yet?
I'm really excited. I've been tossing up a few different ideas and talking to my advisors about them, but I think they'll definitely somehow include my physics research and then try to put an interesting spin on it. So we'll see how it turns out.
Nice. Can you explain to me, a layman, one concept from physics?
Yeah, so I think the coolest physics concept to me is something I learned my first semester of physics at Harvard, which is called special relativity. And the idea is that if you were traveling near the speed of light, then to you, time would slow down to the point that if you traveled at the speed of light, to you, time would essentially stop. So I think that's the coolest thing I've ever learned in physics.
And did you consider studying anything else?
I did. I've also been really interested in sort of philosophy and also history. And so I've been really lucky to take a few classes in those, but I decided not to concentrate in them.
And what was freshman year like?
Freshman year was a whirlwind, I would say. It's so exciting in college, meeting a bunch of new people, taking a bunch of different classes. I would say I had a great time.
What is one memory you had from freshman year?
I would say one memory I had was taking a freshman seminar called The Philosophy of Death with Professor Cheryl Chen. And it was so way out of my ballpark, but it was essentially 12 of us just eating lunch once a week and talking about death. So I thought that was the coolest class ever.
That sounds great. What was your hardest semester?
My hardest semester, I'd probably have to say sophomore spring, just transitioning during COVID. I was also taking quantum mechanics that semester for the first time, so that was a difficult transition for sure.
And what was your hardest class so far?
My hardest class would be Intro to Quantum Mechanics.
What's your favorite class so far?
My favorite class would probably be Solid State Physics with Professor Julia Mundy.
And why was it your favorite?
It's been my favorite because it's really cool. It was really the first physics class where I was able to apply a lot of different concepts from quantum mechanics to real world applications, and it connects a lot to what I'm researching as well. So that was really cool.
Who is one of your favorite professors?
I'd say one of my favorite professors is Professor David Morin, who's the director of undergraduate studies in the physics department.
What has been your best semester and why?
I would say probably freshman fall, just because all of my classes, like I mentioned, philosophy of death and also my intro physics class, sort of just threw me into Harvard academics. And then also the social scene was so fun, and I made some of my best friends freshman year.
That's amazing. You've talked a lot about your research. How did you get into research?
Yeah, it sort of happened serendipitously. So my freshman academic advisor, Professor Jenny Hoffman, had a lot of meetings with me the first few weeks to talk about what I might want to do at Harvard. And I talked about wanting to do research, and she said, well, why don't you come and tour my lab? So I ended up doing that, and it seemed really cool. And so I joined, and I've been in her lab ever since.
What type of research have you done so far?
So I do research in condensed matter physics, which studies the properties of solid state materials at a quantum level. My current project, I'm researching a high temperature superconductor known as iron selenide.
Wow. Do you want to do research after you graduate?
I do. That's the plan. I hope to go to grad school to continue doing physics research.
And what house do you live in?
I live in Adam's house, the best house, hands down.
How far is your house from most of your classes?
Oh, that's why it's the best house ever. Adam's house is literally across the street and it's right on Mass Ave, so I could wake up at like 10:20 for my 10:30 classes.
What is your favorite dining hall?
Adam's dining hall, of course.
And what's your favorite study spot on campus?
I would have to say probably Widener Library, which is kind of a hot take because it's deathly silent in the main reading room, but I just like need the silence to focus.
And what activities do you do on campus?
So I've been involved in a lot of different things. In freshman year, I was in the Kumba Singers of Harvard College, which was a choir. That was so much fun. I had a brief stint in comedy on campus and was on Harvard Time, which was a comedy group. And most recently, I've done a lot of work with founding the Generational African-American Students Association.
That's amazing. Why did you decide to found the Generational African-American Students Association?
Yeah, so I was really immersed in the Black student community once I got to Harvard, and I talked to a lot of other students, and we realized that there's sort of a need for a community of Black students who specifically identified as generational African American, so we could celebrate our history and fight for social activism surrounding reparations and different causes related to the legacy of slavery. So sort of three of us just banded together to form this group. And then ever since, it's just taken off, and we've hosted a lot of really great events on campus. It's been really rewarding.
That's amazing. Now, moving to your summers, what did you do your sophomore summer?
So the summer before my sophomore year, I did a research experience at the University of Maryland, where I also studied condensed matter physics, but in a different research group, just to kind of get an idea of the different topics out there. And I studied materials known as topological insulators.
What does quantum physics, all of that, even mean?
That's a great question. The words are definitely tossed around a lot, but quantum materials specifically, which I study, has to do with materials that perform exhibit some sort of exotic behavior at the quantum level, so often relating to superconductors, topological insulators, or any other materials like that.
I read randomly on your LinkedIn that you studied the moon. Can you tell me something cool about the moon?
Yes, of course. So I studied the moon in high school at the Air and Space Museum. And one of the really cool things people don't know is that a lot of the dips in the moon are actually craters that are caused by constant collisions with other asteroids and things in outer space. And by studying and counting the craters, we've been able to find out how old the moon is and the composition of its surface.
Wow. I see that you've done work at the Smithsonian Institute. Is that true?
Yes, it was so much fun.
Didn't you work there even during high school? How did you get into that?
So during high school, I was sort of looking for community service opportunities, and one that I came across was to apply to become an explainer at the Smithsonian. And so essentially what I did was I worked at the museum and did live exhibitions and talked about museum exhibits and explained the science behind them to visitors. So that was one of the best memories I have from high school.
Do you travel around to present your research?
Yes, I do.
Where have you traveled to?
Let's see. So I've traveled to Brown's campus in Providence. I've traveled to New York. And I was also planning to travel to Denver to present at an international physics conference last spring that was unfortunately canceled due to COVID, but I'm hoping to go there next year.
Do you get nervous presenting your research?
I do, especially the first time. That was the scariest.
How did you get over that, or how do you prep?
I definitely just practiced as much as I could. I was kind of sort of in the hotel where the conference was, and I FaceTimed my friends and my parents to practice. So just saying it over and over really helped me get over my nerves.
What is it like being a Black woman in physics?
It is definitely difficult. I think I'm part of the National Society of Black Physicists, and I would say we maybe have 300 members, which just gives you a sense of how small the pool is. And then amongst Black women, there have been only barely over 100 Black women physicists ever. So very small pool and a lot of challenges for sure.
Wow. What would you say to young Black female students thinking about going into STEM, going to physics?
I would say definitely do it. I know that it's challenging and there's probably not a lot of people in your family or in your community who have done it, but I think that just makes it even more cool because you'll be super special and it's super rewarding and you can do almost anything with a STEM background.
What would you tell your freshman self?
Ooh, I would tell my freshman self that be super confident in all of your classes. Don't be worried if nothing makes sense because everyone feels the same way. And you'll soon look back and everything will make a lot more sense.
What are you looking forward to?
I'm really looking forward to when we can all be back on campus again, because such a big part of Harvard is the social experience. So I really miss my friends. I'm looking forward to seeing them soon.
What is on your Harvard bucket list for senior year?
Ooh, on my Harvard bucket list, I would love, love, love to live in the senior house, which is a tradition in Adams House. There's a small house in our courtyard that hosts about 8 seniors every year. So the lucky blocking group gets to live in it. And that's what I hope to do senior year.
How are you finding calm in all of this craziness?
Whew, I would say being with my family has helped a lot. We recently got a new puppy, which has actually just brought more craziness. But being with my family keeps me really grounded, and FaceTiming friends and talking to friends long distance has helped too.
And last question, what is one of your favorite memories from Harvard?
I would say definitely the long PSET nights, which maybe doesn't sound very fun, but a big tradition at Harvard is to have a physics night and a math night where all the students come together in a dining hall and stay there until 1 or 2 a.m. working on problems. And I'll definitely look back fondly and remember those nights as some of the best times.
Thank you so much for your time, Sam.
Of course. Thanks for having me.